Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm your host, Ed, along with Brad and Justin in the chairs tonight. Week 9 in review and getting ready for week 10. So, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good so far. I went 3-1 in all my home leagues this past week, so looking to make a push for the playoffs. So looking good.
How about you, Brad? How was your week?
My week was a little bit worse. I think I went about even in all my leagues. So,
You guys all beat me in any head-to-heads we have. I think I
Yeah.
lost everywhere. There's a league that Justin and I are in, the Redraft XM Invitational. I'm third in the league in scoring, and I'm in 12th place with a 2-7 record. So third in the league in scoring. I'm really scoring there, and I think Justin's in first place there. So just kind of I'm getting a lot of stuff from all the people there. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm third in points. Like, obviously the team is pretty good. I just run into my defense sucks. And I'm not sure if defense in fantasy football matters, but apparently the people who are playing me seem to score. So I'm not sure how that works, but that feels like luck if there's any such thing. But I don't know. Anyway, I digress. But the other some of my home leagues feel like I'm not. This was a tough week for me. I was doing really well up until this week, so yeah, I felt that. Looking at Beat the Clowns, I went 1-5 this week. So my score was 125.24, and that means that D Guz with a 130 beat me. Justin with a 142.5 beat me. The Camera 135.4 beat me, and GJL Reed 127.84 beat me. The only person that I was able to beat was Drupert. So he had a 117. So everything was real tight. I was just in 5th place, I guess. Looking at the Clownhead tournament, somebody decided that they didn't want my money because I finished 8th there. So there's going to be a couple other people that jumped in ahead of me and got some money, but decided they didn't want it. So Cowboy Up 200, big 200 burger with these players. And I kind of even detailed where the points were this week just for you guys. Fields 45.72 at quarterback. His running backs were ETN with a 29.6 and Walker 30.9. Receivers Tyreek 30-30. Justin Jefferson 28.5 and Palmer 21.6. So just feel like those guys were just unstoppable. Tight end Evan Ingram 1.8. And I was like, wow, that's nothing. Like, that was crazy. He was able to still get a 200 with a terrible tight end score. And then Marshall from the Panthers with a 14.3 in the flex. And then his defense was the Panthers, and they were -2. So another kind of crappy score, and still was able to get the 200. The second place team was Schaff Stroll 19 with a 192, and third place was D Guz with a 179.78. So the D Guz score up above and Beat the Clowns was only 130, so he just barely beat me. And then in this, he got had a nice score under his belt. Moving on to the Elite 8 scoring, and just kind of to run these things down, and then also to kind of let you know what Brad, Justin, and I picked. Division A, Hurricane Zion 253.27 for the high score in Division A, a 4-5 overall record in 8th place. So just kind of coming out of nowhere there, and getting the top score. We're going to skip over Division B with our high score. And then Division C, the Draft Guru 272.19 and 9-0 record. So he's the best score in all of the Elite 8 in first place. Division D, MFL Legend 229.33, 7-2 record, third place in his division. Division E, JSL 111, 261.67, and 8-1 record, first place. Division F, DREC 22 with a 244.6, 5-4 record, fifth place. Division G, Miley R 0568 with a 257.64, 5-4 overall record in fifth place. And Division H, Cowboys and Utes 251.34. So the scores have all gotten below 300 is what I'm noticing here. 7-2 record, first place. our top scorer was C Balls in Division B, 276.97. And I think this is the first time that we're under 300 for our top scorer out of all the weeks. So week 9, we're under 300 for that. And he's got a 4-5 record, 8th place. Brad, what can you tell us about the C Balls team in Division B? And I know Justin's in this division, but what do you have for us on Division B?
Yeah, I don't think he set his team up to go for a championship this year. His team is mostly young guys that he's trying to kind of build around. He had a great week from Justin Fields. Always good to have the top scorer on your team. Justin Jefferson had a great game. Josh Palmer had a good game. TJ Hawkinson had a great game. Ramondre Stevenson had a good game. He's got a solid team for a couple years now, but I think it was kind of a surprise that he blew up this week.
Yeah. Now, I was kind of shocked that we had the 8th place, an 8th place team, and actually 2 of them as I started putting them in. I was like, wow, there's a lot of 8th place teams, here at the top, and so kind of gives me the idea that any given week, any given team can win, and so I'll be anxious to kind of see how that goes as we go forward, and how that all rolls. I had somewhere I put and I can't find it now, so my apologies. I was going to share it, but I had pulled together our top the top 2 teams, and then I seeded them like it would be in the tournament. But I don't have that somehow here. It left me, so my apologies. So I guess we're gonna kind of skip over that. But what happens is we take the top 2 teams from each division, and then we seed them 1 through 16 based on record, followed by total points. And so when I did that after week 9, I found that we didn't have to go any further in the tiebreaker world from total points. And I didn't have to make any alterations to when we seeded versus division. So there was never the same division going against each other in the initial round. So after week 9, I just wanted to kind of get a feel for who was where and how the tournament would look in week 15, which is when they would all start playing. And so had that together. And so I did mention that the Draft Guru with the 9-0 record is our only undefeated team. And so obviously had the number 1 seed. So, just I don't have it in front of me. I'm not sure how it got deleted, but anyway, it's not here. So that was sort of a shock for me. So yeah, that's if I thought maybe if I just brought my things back when I enlarged it, it would give me something, but apparently no. So okay, well we'll move on to the Clownheads 1 through 5. Clownheads 1. Iwanu Diggs 231.44, 6-3 overall, and the 3rd place. Clownheads 2 Vertanen 19 226.06, 8-1 record, 1st overall. Clownheads 3 Archegel 1989 a 250.44, 6-3 record, 4th overall. Skipping over Clownheads 4, we're going to go back to Clownheads 5 Steelers Nation 226.21, 5-4 record, 5th place overall. And then back to Clownheads 4, the Draft Guru. So the return of the Draft Guru, 288.42, 6-3 record, 3rd place overall. And so again, we're not at 300 on any of the scores here. Brad, what do you notice about the Draft Guru's team here?
Obviously, in every league, the Draft Guru drafts to win for this year, and seems like this team's been doing no different. Obviously, it was good to have Mixon on his team this week to put him over the top. Cup had a great game. Kelsey had a great game. Komet had a great game for him. It's a shame to see that he's gone on a 3-game winning streak because he's got 2 QBs and they have buys the next 2 weeks. So I'm thinking he might run into a little trouble here after going on a nice run.
Yeah. Do you bringing Justin back in? Do you have any of the Clownheads teams, Justin, in Dynasty that you feel good about your personal teams that you're trying to compete this year, or are you kind of building for the future?
The only one that I'm trying to push in is my Elite Eight team in Group B, since I
Okay.
traded away my first round pick for Walker. And I am 4-5, just on the 4-5 right now, and I'm just having to piece together, pick the right starters. For right now, of course, I traded for AJ Dillon last week, so I got him in my flex, and hoping that he'll have a big role this week.
Well, and I see that you're on a 2-game winning streak there, and you're 1 game out of the playoffs. So,
Yes.
a lot of room to move through it there. Brad, I didn't check your Elite Eight team, but I see that in Clownheads 4, looks like you're making a run. You're the 2 seed and in place to get the first round bye. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of competing in all 3 of the Clownheads leagues I'm in. I'm 5-4 in the other 2, and I think I'm in a good spot in both those leagues to get to the playoffs as well.
So the other one, I see that you're in the 6th spot in Clownheads letter C, and then how are you doing in
5?
you're in the 7th spot. You're in the 7th spot, just one tied for the playoffs. I mean, the 4, 5, and 6 are tied with you in record, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're 7 according to the points there. So, and in that one, I'm actually in 3rd place. So I'm actually trying to work my way into the bye there. So we're competing in that one. Good.
And I believe we play this week, Brad. We play each other in one of our leagues. I believe it's that league that we were talking about. So.
Perfect. Then we can hear a lot of smack talk next week from you guys about
when I stump a mud hole in them.
Who wins and who doesn't. Looking at Clownheads redraft 1, we have Heifer 808 with a 261.39, a 6-3 overall record, 3rd place. Clownheads redraft 2, Steelers Nation. I know we like to pick her from time to time, and as a champ. 237.90, a 5-4 in 7th place. I guess this is where I kind of try. I've had a pretty good year in these 2 redraft leagues. This one I'm I guess in Clownheads 1 redraft, I'm in 6th spot. So I know you guys aren't in this one, but I'm just kind of on the fringe of the playoffs. 4 through 8 are all 5-4, which is my record there. And then in Clownheads redraft 2, I think I'm the number 1 seed here. So I'm at 6-3. So I'm not really, blowing the doors off anything, but my points, the top 3 teams are all 6-3, but my points are the best there, and I'm in the 1 seed. So it's kind of a good situation to be in, to be winning. At least those 2, be winning in those 2 are competing at a high level in those 2 leagues. So, for as much as I'm complaining, about teams not going well, I guess, there could be worse things happening with the teams, and, just kind of looking at it. Want to take a look at a couple trades that Justin pulled out, and just kind of get a feel for, what you guys are thinking that you would want to, pick here on these trades as I bring them up. The first one, I think, Justin, did we pull this out of the Elite Eight? Is that, or one of the Clownheads, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. What we'll start with you as you kind of pulled it out. Is there any side of this trade that you would prefer over the other?
I mean, if I have to pick, I would rather have the rookie pick for 2023. Sam Ellinger, he's he's not an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. So yeah.
And what do you think, Brad? Which side do you want?
Yeah, I think the guy who sold Ellinger got a nice return for him. Apparently, the guy that needed Ellinger probably needed a QB for this week to get through a bye or something. So,
So I guess I'm going to be like kind of out in left field here. I wouldn't sell it for a sec. I wouldn't sell Ellinger for a second, and I probably would buy him if I needed him for a second. Except for that, I started PJ Walker last week in a couple of leagues, and I have one league where I honestly got negative 12 points. So I guess having a quarterback in the super flex doesn't make a lot of sense when it's negative 12 that you pull out of your super flex. I mean, I'm thinking I could have taken a 0 and been a lot better off. And actually, that 12 points was what cost me 2 wins. It's one of those league median wins, and I was 4 points under the median score. So that 12 points, if I had just taken the 0, I would have not only beat my opponent, but I would have also just actually won 2 games, which knocked me from 3rd place in a league to 6th place in a league. So this is my 368 team league. So anyway, that was crazy. But I wanted to just kind of, as short-winded as I can be, kind of say that I've kind of been really working on my philosophy on quarterbacks. And it's not about what you get for a quarterback that really makes it meaningful. It's the fact that if you own all the quarterbacks, and by having Ellinger, that's just one of 32 starters in the NFL, and not selling them, it creates a panic that other people come next spring when there's a rookie draft tend to overvalue them, if you will, because they can't get them because nobody else will give them up. And all of a sudden, I was looking back and I realized that Zach Wilson and players like that, Mac Jones, were going in the 6th and 7th pick in the draft. And guys like Jamar Chase, I was taking with the 10th pick in the draft. So I might have the 110 and I'm getting a player like Jamar Chase when really that probably should be Mac Jones. You know, it really should be there, but because all these people are going crazy about needing a quarterback, they just like fade the heck out of Waddle and Chase, and all of a sudden they just overstep for quarterbacks. And so if we look at this year, there wasn't very many quarterbacks, but I can't tell you how many times I saw Ritter and Willis go at the tail end of the 1st round or early 2nd, and me at the back of the 2nd, I'm getting Dameon Pierce, and I'm getting Pickens, and I'm getting Dotson, and that's at the end of the 2nd round. Like, they shouldn't be there anymore. Like, they should be gone, you know, because people are taking those. They're reaching for Matt Corral, you know, and they're overtaking that guy, and it's all based on this frenzy of quarterbacks. So that's why I would probably just take Sam Ellinger and drop him before I trade him for a second, just to kind of set myself up for Jamar Chase. Like, so hopefully that makes sense, and that's why I would choose to probably go that way. As far as that goes. Next trade on the books, Justin, tell me about this. I see that you got Bateman a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for Diggs and Henderson.
Yeah, I actually threw quite a few players up on the chopping block and another league, and I was thinking I want 2 first and a second for Diggs, and see what I can get. And somebody bit and sent me this offer, and I instantly accepted. Bateman and the 23 first and the 23 second, I thought was pretty nice for Diggs. Even though just a few days after this, Bateman was put on IR for the rest of the year. So I lost out.
Bateman. Oh, it was when he was hurt, but he went on IR after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And then a 3rd for 2024, 3rd for Henderson. Easy. I would trade that away every day, every time for Henderson and what the Rams are doing right now.
What side do you want, Brad?
I personally think you probably could have gotten a little bit more for Diggs, but I'm a little bit lower on Bateman for the future than most people are. So Yeah, it's not a bad deal. Henderson is 1A, 1B back though. Maybe could have gotten a little bit more too.
So,
But it's not a bad deal, like at all.
I'm actually going to side with Justin here. I like the deal. So I just looked up. Diggs is 28 years old. Bateman's 22. So I'm thinking 6 years of age. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking 6 years of age. I'm getting out of this deal. And 29-year-old receivers, meaning next year, out of the 30, out of the top 20 receivers last year, there was only one that was any good in the top 20, and that was Keenan Allen. And we see his age 30 season, he fell off a freaking, you can say anything you want about injuries, but they just don't come back. And then Henderson, it's apparent to me that the Rams don't want to use him. Whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, they come up with every excuse. Ronnie Rivers, Malcolm Brown, reversing course on Akers. I mean, they have every reason in the world not to use him. So whether we like him, don't like him, there's just no point in it. There's just no point in it. So I don't think I would have messed around too much. I would have been like, yep, I'm just going to accept it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take my 6 years of age, and I'm just going to take it real quick, quietly. And then I also believe that receivers are kind of dime a dozens. Now, in the Clownheads Leagues, 4 receivers, it's skewed a little bit to make the receivers hurt a little bit more. But I really feel like Zay Jones isn't far off of Diggs on a given week. Not when I say not far off, 20 to 10, 20 to 10 points on average. That's only a 10-point average. You can make that up other places. And the difference in cost, here we got 3 players plus Bateman. So the difference from Bateman to Diggs in scoring on a given week, what is it? 12 to 20? And so then with 3 shots at something to be 8 points is all you're really looking at, right, to get to Diggs. And we start 12 in a lot of our leagues. So I think it was a good deal. So good for you, Justin. I like it. I think that you have a good, reasonable shot of getting a Jamar Chase, Pickens, and a Romeo Doubs. So if you got those 3 with Bateman for that trade, what do you think?
Yeah, it'll be nice, but the guy's number 3rd in the league, and it's going to be a late round pick for sure.
Well, but again, if Abby, I did hear that there's not very many receivers in this draft, but let's say it's ETN. He's a late first. I mean, ETN was a late first, like that. Javonte Williams, late first.
Mm-hmm.
Those are real players there. We plug them in and we say, okay, number 10 overall. Would that make sense? And we'd all say, yep, that would make Waddle. Take your pick. I mean, you'd only have to be really that right, and it would be pretty good. So I like it. I'm going with that. This just went down this afternoon. So Justin, I sent it to you, and you're like, yep, let's use it. What do you think? Which side do you want?
Oh, I mean, I really like both these quarterbacks a lot. But, I mean, the way Hurts is playing right now, I mean, it's hard to say that he's not a top 3 quarterback right now and what he is doing. So I personally, I'm completely neutral because I hold both of these quarterbacks very high. If I'm forced to pick, I will want the rookie picks with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brad? Which side do you want?
Being the Hurts seller here, I think at Hurts's peak, he's a wash with Lamar. So just adding a first and a third is icing on the top to me.
I agree with you guys. What I would tell you is that if you were to make this Hurts versus Lamar, I would probably lean slightly Lamar, right? Just slightly. You start throwing rookie first-round picks in there, and it becomes a pretty easy decision for me.
Yeah.
I did just look at age, because sometimes age is a thing. Right. Lamar's 25, Hurts is 24. So you're not really gaining anything there either. Like and so what that means to me, honestly, is that they're basically the same age almost. They're a year apart, right? And we've seen the same kind of production from Lamar for a longer period of time than we have Hurts. So that's why I said if I had to put them up, even up, I would just say it's kind of like why I always choose Pat Mahomes over Josh Allen, because I've just seen it a couple more years of consistency. Same age, just seen a couple more years of consistency. How do I deal with adversity? And that's all. Not much. Like, you could argue it. I mean, you could tell me, I'd rather have Allen, and I'd say, okay. And you could tell me you'd rather have the undefeated quarterback Hurts. I mean, and I couldn't really tell you shouldn't. I mean, like, I get that, but you started throwing a first and a third. I mean, even if it's who we mentioned as Bateman as the 112, like Bateman was a 112. I still think that you get Lamar and Bateman and Romeo Doubs, and now that makes that, better. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to make the trade. I think. I want to just.
I don't really understand it, honestly.
I don't want to be on the wrong side of that. Like, I would feel like that would be on the wrong side. So that's
Yep.
That's what we have there. I did some counting on quarterbacks that I thought was interesting, and so 17 quarterbacks in week 10 that were starters in week 10 of the possible 28 were starters. Only 17 of the week 1 starters are starting quarterbacks in week 10. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And or they haven't missed a start beyond the bye week. So some of them have returned to being starters again. But, so we're almost halfway home with quarterbacks that of the starting quarterbacks have not, aren't starting in week 10 already. So, that's pretty crazy of where quarterback, those backups can come into play. And it kind of helps us transition into just kind of starting to talk about some of the things. And I wanted to bring Justin in. What are you hearing about Josh Allen and what's going on with Josh Allen quarterback wise?
Yeah, so he's been seeing a couple specialists getting second and third opinions. Pretty much they are suspected of him needing Tommy John surgery. And of course, Tommy John surgery was made famous from the major league pitcher that messed up that tendon, so they named it after him. So if he needs it, he's gonna be out for a while. Long, hard recovery, but Case Keenum is your guy that they're gonna be let him take over the reins for the rest of the year if he needs a surgery. But
I want to ask you guys about on that front. I do think that we're going to see Case Keenum this week. I mean, if you were to ask me today on Tuesday as we film this, I think Case Keenum will be the starter. But I mean, Josh Allen's a trooper and he's tough, so I could see him starting. But I guess if you were to ask me, I think this is what they brought Case Keenum in. I noticed an injury, and I couldn't find it anywhere, to Kirk Cousins. He went out of the game, and then with a quick injury. So just a thought to keep watching that situation when things come out, this week. So just kind of know that's a possibility. I think that maybe we see somebody in for Cousins. So.
Yeah, and I watched that game and watched the hit. It looked like more of a he got hit from his backside, so it was more of an out of nowhere hit that it's kind of knocked the air out of your head.
You think it was just an air knockout of? Okay.
Yeah,
I wouldn't bet on Cousins not playing.
Oh yeah, he looked fine. He looked just fine right after the hit. It took him a minute to get up after the hit, and they got him off the sideline, gave him some water. He came right back in the next. He had to miss a play, and he came right back in and looked just fine.
Okay. Sometimes I think those. I guess I think sometimes those injuries can be, um, they show up on the injury report on Wednesday. So I guess
Mhm.
I did actually
Oh,
go
yeah.
get his backup a lot of places because I there was just something about it but I looked today and I couldn't find anything anywhere on it. So I'm anxious to watch that on the Wednesday injury report and see if it shows up. Like just kind of monitoring, and I would just throw that out there that if you saw the play, then maybe I'm just making up something there too. So I guess I don't want to get too over my skis, but it was something that it was the one quarterback hit that I saw. I think as things spiral out of control, a couple other places in the quarterback world, Jordan Love, I think I was told that they are looking to talk with Aaron Rodgers about possibly letting Jordan Love have some time. My theory is that we won't see that until week 15 if they're out of it. They have a bye week 14. They would install him there to see what he is. Like that they would ask. I think the protocol would be to ask Aaron his thoughts and get his blessing to see what they have with Jordan Love, but just to kind of get an idea for what they need to do following Aaron. So that's just kind of out there, but my guess would be that would be a week 14 thing. So we got a little bit ahead of that. Redraft leagues, I'm kind of going out on record. I think it's time to pick up Deshaun Watson. I did hear some experts saying that today and thought it made some sense. And I was kind of funny because I was looking ahead and saying, hey, week 13 is coming pretty quick, and it might be time to go get Deshaun Watson. So if you have any redraft leagues where you want a quarterback, that you might go get that. On the quarterback, Kyler Murray, bad body language in the game again this week, fighting with Deshaun D Hop on the sideline this week. So just monitor that. Like it wouldn't shock me if we don't see McCoy before we're all said and done here, pretty quick too. So just not because they're going to get rid of him, but just because he tends to get a pulled hamstring pretty easily when things don't go well. So just know that I could see that coming down the pike. If they start to fall out of it, and yeah. So just monitor those kind of quarterback things. Brad, what I know I asked you about Kenneth Walker when I saw that he was supposed to get 5 points today, and I was freaking out, like what the hell's going on? And you seem to be on top of that scoop, so I'll bring you in to tell us about that.
I haven't seen like anything on any major news sites or anything about it, but I've been hearing from a couple sources that like he might have trouble traveling to Germany with the team this week, so we may not see him play this weekend. It's definitely an interesting thing that could happen.
Wow.
Well, I just found it odd that Homer was scheduled for 5 points and Kenny Walker was scheduled for 4 points in a league I was looking at. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I was like, the Tampa Bay defense isn't that good. Like, I'm like, what is going on? And then I saw Algier in that same league was like 11 points. And I'm like, so you need to tell me Algier is worth double, what Kenny Walker. I'm like, and I was talking to Brad. I called Brad. I'm like, Brad, did he get hurt? Did I miss it? Is there an injury? And Brad's like, no, he doesn't have a passport. So, that's kind of, and so, Brad had some sources. So, kudos to that. I was like kind of over here. I have a bunch of Kenneth Walker shares, and I was like, what's going on? I'm like,
Yeah, same here.
I was just nervous about all that scoring. What do you have, Justin, on OBJ? I wanted to just kind of. I don't have anything on OBJ, so anxious to hear what you have there.
Well, I read that he passed all of his medical clearances that he needed to come back after his ACL injury, and quite a few teams are going to be in on him, including the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones came out and said we're going to see if he came out and said that he would look nice with a cowboy helmet, cowboy logo on the side of his helmet. So who knows? He might have Lamb, Odell Beckham, and who's the other receiver there? The Slugs. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
Gallup
and Gallup in the starting lineup here in a few weeks.
okay.
Yeah, I heard the 49ers and Bills are going to be in on that bidding war too for him.
And the Rams, I think, have, I did see that come across the wire today that they were going to have their best bid ever or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that means. Is he good? Is OBJ good? I still have him on a team, but I'm just like, is he even good? Like, I don't even know if he's even good.
I mean, you can't deny what he does for a championship contending team, especially after last year.
Does he do more than Allen Robinson, or is he the same thing?
I would say his stats would say he does, definitely.
Okay. I mean, I guess I feel like Allen Robinson was that for a time. I don't know, like, and then he wasn't. And so I wonder, is OBJ good for a time and then not, or is Michael Thomas good for a time and then not? And
yeah, well, he's had a heck of a lot of rest. So who knows? He might be coming ready to play.
I guess. I mean, I just wonder how, I guess I look back to Josh Gordon. Same idea, good for a time and then not. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I see
bye-bye to him,
I see him being more like Michael Thomas, if anything, like at his worst, like he might just get a bunch of injuries and call. Like, I think it's a matter of injuries more than talent at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has the talent still to be good.
Okay, so you think Michael Thomas would be a good comp for him then? I mean,
yeah.
If Michael Thomas is on a field, he's pretty good, but he just never is on a field, and I don't know. It reminds me of an older version of Kadarius Toney, like just doesn't stay on the field, like just doesn't stay on the field, and just the same idea, like he just are not on the field. Justin, what do you have on the Aaron Jones situation? And then I'll just throw up my 2 cents. Not that it matters, but.
Well, during the game this past week, he kind of tweaked his sprained his ankle. X-rays and all the tests came back negative. But I don't know. Do you want to run the risk of injuring him when you're not competing for anything now? It seems like. So he could go ahead and decide to sit out unless he just wants to play. And if he wants to play, he'll play. The coach said it's very possible, very likely that he'll be able to play this week. And of course, I think we're going to hear more about it tomorrow.
I sort of agree. So I have like these lists of teams that I don't believe what they tell us, just because they don't tell the truth ever. And Green Bay is one of them. Like, I think that while I will tell you that I was telling somebody that I was talking to today that if you were to ask me what coaching staff I like better, I forget the two we're comparing, but Green Bay was one. I said I'd want the Green Bay coaching staff because I think they're pretty good. Like, I think they're a good coaching staff. I also don't think that they tell the truth. I mean, it's very much Bill Belichick to me. Like, they don't tell you who's going to start and who's going to play, and actually they downright lie sometimes. And you're like, okay, you said this, and then this happens. It's kind of, it felt to me like when I saw the press conference and I tried to read between the lines, it felt like the Pete Carroll kumbaya, like everything's, peaches and cream, like, oh, he's fine. And I'm like, you're saying he's fine, but you haven't seen the medicals yet. Like how do you even come up with this kind of shenanigans? He's in a walking booth. Like, what are you talking about? So, yeah. And then they're not even talking about Romeo Dobbs. I heard that that's a high ankle sprain, and that's like 4 to 6 weeks, and they haven't even figured that out yet. Like, that sounds like an IR stint, and they haven't done anything about that.
Yeah, I think they're more worried about losing Rashawn Gary on the defensive end.
They're all panicked about that. And then I saw that they made this crazy offer for DJ Moore, and they got rebuffed. I saw that, over the weekend, and I'm like, okay. That would have, I mean, I'm surprised. Like, they were offering a first-round pick for DJ Moore. I thought I was like, wow, okay. So they at least took a shot. I mean, so give them credit. right? I mean, like they did take a shot, and the Panthers said no. So, I wanted to dive in a little bit with you guys and kind of pick your brains on what you think is happening in Indianapolis. And I've been fortunate enough to talk to a lot of people that are around the team and around, and so I think I have a pretty good handle on it. But just kind of wonder the scope of what you guys are hearing and what kind of the masses are talking about, and what you see happening maybe today, and then what do you see for the players that we might have in fantasy? And is there any value to Pittman or Jonathan Taylor, or are they even going to play? I mean, what do you guys see happening?
Well, with the firing of Frank Wright there, I don't know. But I do know you can't trust Sam Mellinger when you can't trust your quarterback. Very little equity will come off of your wide receivers and the rest of the team there. So it's really yet to be determined unless they bring in start Nick Foles or Matt Ryan again.
Well, I think that's coming from the top. They're going to start Sam Ellinger the rest of the year because that's what the owner wants, and if you want to buck the owner, he's going to get rid of you. Like they're going to start him come hell or high water. And I mean, I'm more worried about the veterans. So veterans typically, at least the ones that I know, don't like to be in a locker room where they've given up, because it becomes like you've already made a determination of what's going to happen, and I'm out of here anyway. So now I just need to protect my body so that I still have a career in the future. So it gets very me oriented, and the game of football just isn't played with the me oriented. That isn't how you win championships. It's not about everybody being a me and the I. There's just none in team, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work in that environment. And so what I see happening is a lot of that. I think we're going to see guys like Jonathan Taylor, get a little nicked up and not play, just kind of decide, hey, I'll wait till next year, even though he's under club control next year. Just kind of see, why would they play for this coach? Like, he's not going to be around next year. So there's not even playing for a job there. There's nobody to play for. Like Rich Bisaccia last year and the Raiders, those guys played for him because they were trying to rally behind a coach they thought would continue. And it's not a secret as to what happened to the Raiders this year when they got rid of Rich Bisaccia. You notice what happened to the chemistry of the team this year. They even brought in more talent, and they can't win because you got to keep the locker room. And unfortunately, we might think that Josh McDaniels is a good coach, but if you don't have the locker room, you don't have much. And so that's what I feel like is happening in Indy is the locker room is gone now. And I'm speculating that Frank Wright will get another job pretty quickly if he wants one. And I did not like Frank, just to be clear, in the fantasy world. Like, he would annoy the crap out of me because I could never figure out who's going to score. It was always like I just wanted to avoid his players because he would have the third string tight end score touchdowns all the time because he wanted to show us that he's smarter than us. But as a person and as a coach in the respected coaching ranks, I think he's very well respected. And I mean, he could go to the Eagles, he could go to the Chiefs, he could go to the Jaguars in like a New York minute and be on the staff. Like, they would all take him in a freaking minute, and probably the Buffalo Bills just because he has a history there, But those other three head coaches, Doug Peterson and Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni, would love to have him around. So, I think all three of those coaches would love to have him there. So I think we're going to see things implode. I mean, I'm seeing that the people inside the game, the front office personnel, want the general manager to step down as the right thing to do and not work for an owner like that. There's pool in the advertisers to pool their advertising. There's pool of season ticket holders to not buy season tickets. Like, there's a lot of push to really go after the franchise in a big way. So I think there's going to be some more things we'll hear about in Indianapolis. And so in the fantasy space, it's probably something to keep your eye on. I'm not suggesting that, hey, let's go dump Jonathan Taylor. Don't do that. I'm not suggesting anything like that, but I'm just saying I wouldn't go buy him, for full price. And so be wary of the Michael Pittmans and Jonathan Taylors of the world. and it's going to get ugly this year. And maybe it's just a tank. Maybe they're trying to get a first round pick, a high first round pick. Right now they sit at, I think, number 11 overall. So they're they're not even a top 10 pick. So I guess they got to start losing with their wins. But that's what we have there. I want to go ahead and share my screen one more time. See if we get it here, because let's see if you guys can see this. So this is actually what week 15 would look like in the Elite Eight. I was able to find it, and I just thought it might make it interesting. So this is if the season were to end today after week 9 results. We still have 5 more to go. This is how the week 15 would go for our teams that would be the 16 teams advancing onto the large playoff system. And what we have is we'd have the 1 versus the 16, the 2 versus the 15, and so on. But you can kind of see that, it would be a 9-0 team playing a 6-3 team. So the worst team that makes the playoffs as of today would be 6-3, and that would be Shippa, who's actually won the top scorer of the week a couple times for us, I think, if I remember right, out of Division G. And then our top scoring team was the Draft Guru out of Division C. But you can kind of see and get a feel for all the teams that are in there, and then what their total points are. And then the second tiebreaker, if we would have had somebody tied at total points, we'd go to max PF, and then finally a coin flip. And I just point out the game check. If you make it as a top 2 seed, you get $75 just right away for playing in week 15. Teams 3 through 6 in each division would also play week 15 inside of their division. So something that they have to play for at that point. And then these teams would play in the division in week 16. And then the winners of these would also play a secondary game in week 16. So that's kind of how it's going to look and how it's going to go. And I just wanted to kind of present that this week so that everybody could see it. Do you guys have any questions about how it's going to look, or anything surprising there, or any observations of what that grid looks like, or is that what you envision when we set it all up?
Yeah, I kind of thought about it being set up that way.
Okay.
I like it. It gives everyone the chance to get in and start earning money right in the first round of playoffs, and so on and so on.
Yeah, I kind of like the game check philosophy, just because it feels like you're playing in the playoff game as an NFL team. That's the same thing that they get. They get a game check, for just kind of making it there. And then if you make it on week 16 and you're in this, you'll get an additional game check of 125. And then week 17, it'll depend on order of finish, but the final 4 teams there will get a check in the amount of where they finish in that top 4, but they'll all make money for playing week 17. So it's kind of like you get paid while you play, and then when you're done playing, you don't get paid anymore. It's kind of cool. So kind of like how that comes out, but this sort of visualizes it, and I thought it was kind of neat to see where things stood after week 9, and I'll be anxious to see how close do you think this is to the final. How many teams do you think of these 16 will remain in here? What's your vote, just off the cuff, Justin? How many of these 16 will stay here in the next 5 weeks?
I'd say about 60 to 65% of them, especially in those later seeds. So probably the last 4,
So you think 12?
6, maybe 7. Yeah.
Oh. So what's your number? How many of 16 do you think are going to stay the same?
I was 16. I'll go 10.
Okay. What about you, Brad?
I'll go with 8 or 9.
Well, yeah, that's 2 different numbers. We have to have a number.
Okay, 8.
8?
Yeah.
Oh man, now you guys are making it tough. So we got 8 and 10, and I get to pick last, and I would pick 9, but I'm going to go with 11. So 11 of these teams, I'm going to go a little higher just to kind of, so I can say I was closer. It's more that case. So no, I'm kind of kidding, but no, I think we're all right about right now. I think it'll be more than 8. I think more than half will get there, but maybe not. I don't know. like we don't even know who's going to win each week, so we really can't figure that out when we guess. So
Yeah.
I sure as heck didn't think I was going to win in Clownheads 5. Like I can't believe that I'm even in the playoffs there. So that's crazy. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. Well, any parting words before we get to week 10? We're getting ready for week 10. It feels like the fantasy season is flying by.
Yeah. I would like to remind everyone to come join us on the DraftKings and take my money because it's donation again this week for myself. I think I finished 11th or 12th maybe. So come take my money.
I'm donating too. I mean, yeah, please come take. I'd rather give it to you guys in the Clownhead community than just giving it to random people in DraftKings world. So, yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, I'm here to take the money. I'd like to welcome everybody to come do that for sure. And yeah, do you guys have any trade deadlines coming up in week 11, or is that just me? Or week 10? I have two week 10 trade deadlines. One is I've got a playoff starting in week 12 in one of my leagues, so I'm that has one of the trade deadlines in week 10. So I'm trying to get that team ready to roll for the playoffs. And geez, that's hard when you start having to deal with the bye weeks and playoffs at the same time. It really creates an exciting challenge for week 14 when I have a bunch of byes and try to win a playoff game. It's kind of crazy, but I guess everybody sits in the same seat, so. It's just I have trouble navigating that. So, yeah, going to make some of those trades. So trading season is upon us, and good luck each of you guys in your week. And we will see you next time on the Fantasy Football Clown Show.